Good morning, Lockpod people. It is season 11, episode 14, and we don't have a locomotive, but we do have
17 guests.
we have
So crowded in
we
here.
have a good guest, and I'm going to tag in for even better guest when Dr. Foreit comes in.
That would be John Cantrell, former sponsor of the show, and
I'm on sabbatical.
criminal defense attorney
Yeah.
extraordinaire. But actually, that's one of the reasons we're flipping the show around today. Well, of course, John, as you know, is at the jail and in court every day. But also, we've got a criminal defense attorney that's going to come on in just a second after we do ads. And his name is Ken Poston Jr., and he's written a book called Zenith Man about his murder trial. And I wanted John to be here to make sure to question him. So, John, welcome, as always, to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited. I did a little deep dive on this fella, and I'm impressed, to be honest
Okay,
with
cool. Well, that's good. If you're impressed, that means a lot. Also, and I should have said this, but we are the Midwest's most dangerous podcast, and we are coming from NECA IBEW, Powering Indiana Lake County Studios. That's a mouthful, Phil.
It's a lot.
You know what I did this morning? Like, I came in, and you guys are still moving the whole office around, and there's
Yeah.
some things there's some boxes over there in the corner. They're going to go up on shelves and things, but I thought you got the Tom bobblehead, and it feels empty, so I bought in.
You brought the Snoop bobblehead in?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Snoop Dogg.
Thank you. To give the boxing locomotive, our Mayor Tom, some company.
Yeah, he looked truthfully lonely.
All right, so there you go.
Yeah.
We got Snoop, and we've got RBG.
We
You
talked-
notice she's not smiling in the middle of the.
She's
two
not
guys.
happy.
They look happy. but
She's not.
She's not so
Well,
much.
I mean, do you think that she's happy with the state of the world right now?
No.
So, like, her face would probably change under different
point.
circumstances.
There you go.
Phil, every time I tried to lead you in, I wasn't able to, so welcome.
I mean, you came in insulting.
I did?
You're not a sponsor anymore. I'm not a locomotive. I mean, that's all I heard.
I apologize.
You know.
But you know what? I picture you, and this is growing up in East Chicago. They had trains, and so you would count the engines on the beginning of the train because that could tell you how
long
many
it's
cars
gonna
they're
be.
pulling.
I
So
still do that.
You're me too. Me and my grandma figured it out, and I used to get stuck by trains all the time, especially driving a B&I. But Philip's that second locomotive behind the first one,
Right behind it.
Yeah,
Not quite the coal car, not the lead,
Yeah.
but you're the
But
secondary
and not the
locomotive.
caboose.
No.
Not the caboose.
You don't want to be that.
Can we
Trust
say
me.
this?
Trust me.
Can we say this? The locomotive often paves the way for locomotives, and then it just gets you ready to be a locomotive. So
This is-
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is an-
Phil,
It's like
you
a
think
feeder
Phil's going to be
system.
the locomotive? I don't think Phil's ever going to be the locomotive here.
I think he has locomotive material.
Quality? He's
Yeah,
got
he
locomotive
does.
qualities?
Yeah.
How about these
Do we have a-
bars?
Yeah.
Look at
So,
this.
before I forget,
He's much older than me. I have to say
Oh,
that.
wow.
I have to
One
say
how
how
it
it
works.
works.
One
And you're
year.
on that side of the table.
Yeah.
Javez, how you feeling this morning?
I've been better.
Yes, I want to give kudos to our producer, Javez, who is, of course, a little bit under the weather still. You heard it Tuesday. It's progressed, but he's here.
He looks like shit, to be honest with you. Like, there's no Vesmar cam, but he looks like hell, and he's probably happy to this day.
I'm
Yeah.
proud of him.
Yeah.
He showed
He's got
up.
his-
Yeah.
with his hoodie on.
What would we do if he wasn't here? Who's going to run that?
It doesn't happen.
Exactly.
You want to talk about a locomotive? It doesn't happen
Yeah.
without John
My-
Vesper.
That's a good point.
My Nana has this thing that she watches baseball
Got
games
Grandma
in.
and Nana in the first
It's
5
like
minutes.
it's like
Are
a
these
little
different people?
We don't know.
Or are they different nicknames?
We don't know.
She has
Same
the same
person.
woman.
She has a bubble that she sits in to watch like a cold
It's his
softball
name
and
for
baseball
Kristen.
games.
Nana. My Nana, also known as Kristen, my wife.
Yes, we role play, but I don't want to get into a lot of specifics here on the show.
Today you're my Nana.
Do you want to tell us something about your?
Well, you were talking the other day about your mom rubbing Noxzema all over you, and like
that
if
happened when I was a kid.
and see,
Sunburn.
I laughed in my car because I
You've
said
been
out
there?
loud, I'm like, "Was this last week?"
Do you have any stories about
not.
Pop?
That's another name.
Yeah.
And Jill, thank you
had Pop
for
Pop
bringing
in
the
the
$1 million bars homemade.
Oh yeah.
Can we just describe what's on these, Jill? What you made these with?
Love.
I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna
Let's start
pull one
with
out.
love.
Pull
Let's
one
start
out.
there.
Go ahead, Jill.
Mhm.
There's shortbread, caramel, and chocolate.
All right.
Holy.
And how do you make homemade caramel?
Homemade caramel.
What does that mean by homemade caramel? Like you make your own, like literally make your own
Like
caramel?
you buy caramel
Yes.
and you
No.
melt,
Melt it?
and then you
No.
reform it, and it's homemade.
You
No.
get caramel fruit, and then you you pulp it.
That's good. That was good, Jill. Thank you.
Kevin, why are there handprints all over the wall?
Don't ask.
John was here with Nana or Pop or whoever he was here with. I have no idea.
I'm gonna choke on this caramel.
So, are you guys
right.
excited to see Dr. Foreit and like to be filled in on his travels and his
Well,
adventures?
That's what's coming after 8 o'clock. When John has to go to court,
jealous.
we are bringing Dr. Foreit in. We're going to get an update from Michael about all his travels around the world. But let's first do ads because I know I got our guest who's coming up, Ken Poston Jr., who wrote this book, Zenith Man, about a murder trial in Northwest Georgia that John's going to talk to him about. So, Phil, why don't you lead us off with some ads, and we'll be right back with our guest.
Powering Indiana Lake County. IBEW Local 697 and NECA NECA proudly bring you Powering Indiana Lake County. With over a century of experience, they've been safely wiring the region. From powering corporations along the lakefront to lighting up homes across Lake County, Powering Indiana Lake County is your trusted source for electrical professionals. Join them as they continue to light the way for Northwest Indiana. Visit Powering Indiana Lake County at www.poweringindiana.org.
Misprint Printing. Elevate your brand with Misprint, the premier printing and sign solution in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana with a 30-year legacy of excellence. Their experienced team, led by Rick Baltensberger, combines innovation and technology to deliver top-quality signs and printing. And this is your metal business card cue, Phil.
Oh, God.
And
Just throw something.
oh, my God, was that
bad?
Yes.
Oh, is it this
John?
one?
Thank you.
Like it's hot, Philip. Come
Yes,
on.
there you go. That was not bad. That wasn't bad, Phil.
Thank you.
Signs and printing and metal business cards, always on time within budget. Visit them at misprintusa.com to bring your vision to life today. Misprint, your partner for creating impactful visual solutions.
Calumet Brewing. It's time to experience Michelob Ultra with only 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, 4.2% ABV. The perfect way to start 2024 and keep those resolutions in check. It doesn't matter if you're kicking back after a workout, hitting a pickup game at the park, or heading out to a day on the slopes. Be sure to enjoy a superior light beer that's only worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra is brewed to be a complement to your healthy lifestyle. Head over to Cal Brew or the Michelob Ultra websites and social media pages for details on this great family of beers. Enjoy the Ultra lifestyle and with beers, and cheers responsibly.
Prestmer Insurance Company. For decades, the Ron Prestmer Insurance Agency has been your trusted neighbor right on Indianapolis Boulevard, serving all your insurance needs. Their wide range of insurance products and services, including home, auto, business, life insurance, and more, has helped over 1,000 individuals and businesses throughout Chicagoland and the Midwest. Call Ronnie today at 219-844-0103. They're here to protect what matters to you most.
Tortillas Nuevo Leon. Tortillas Nuevo Leon set the gold standard in Mexican cuisine across the Midwest. Look for our iconic red and white label at your local grocery store. Indulge in the finest Mexican products crafted with local expertise and savor the taste of authenticity. Discover the flavors of Tortillas Nuevo Leon today.
Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia de todo corazón. Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia, de todo corazón.
All right, thank you to all our sponsors, and welcome back to Powering Indiana Lake County Studios, sponsored by IBW and NECA. And we are really honored to have a author, attorney, and a really interesting storyteller, Ken Poston Jr., with us. Ken, how are you? Good morning. Welcome to Lockpod.
Good morning from Northwest Georgia.
There you go. You even sound like you're from Northwest Georgia, which I like. Now, wait, I want to introduce you. Phil Taillon's here. John Cantrell, who is also a criminal defense attorney. And John, yeah, so I wanted John in here so that I'm an attorney too, but I don't get to court like John does every day. So you guys are going to have a lot to talk about, especially about murder trials. And Jill's here behind the microphone.
I'm not a criminal lawyer.
Hi, Jill.
Let me ask you, McCracken, real quick, just so we can get kind of the lay of the land in Northwest Georgia. Is this Marjorie Taylor Greene territory?
Actually, it is.
Yes.
And the book begins. The book begins actually in my very humiliating loss for a race for the U.S. Congress for that area, and I was the first Democrat to lose since the Civil War, I think.
Whoa!
And
what year was that?
1996, and it was the my opponent had gotten elected as a Democrat and then switched parties, and I was his first challenger.
Yeah.
After that.
Well, I can tell you our what we call our locomotive of the podcast, Mayor Tom McDermott. This podcast actually was born out of his congressional loss. So
rage.
you guys have that, and
Well,
you guys that have
Best
that in
thing that
common.
ever happened to me, and I will say this to John. I don't know how many years he's been practicing, but we all experience these stories. We all, anybody in criminal law experiences these stories, and I really encourage all of my colleagues to please write those stories down. And I was fortunate to have kept. I've kept the story has long legs. It has been being told over and over again in different formats: Forensic Files, American Justice, NPR Snap Judgment, People Magazine, The Washington Post. And all of these stories have been just told and retold of the same case over the years. But the difference is 3 years ago, at the request of a juror from the case, I had Alvin Ridley, my client, tested, and he's very much on the autistic spectrum. And that was what finally, in my head, allowed me to write the book.
Well, I appreciate it, and I want to just introduce the book real quick before I turn it over to John for some hard-hitting questions here. But this book, Zenith Man, from what I could tell, it just hit the bookshelves on the 20th of February, so we're really honored to get you here right after its debut. And now you're going to be able to add Lockpod to that list along with People Magazine of where we were able to tell Zenith Man's story.
Maybe
it'll
Lockpod
make
goes
that
to the
list.
top.
Maybe, but not. Maybe, but maybe not.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on, John.
The reason why this story is so fantastic and so interesting is because it's so bizarre. Like, you'd think that this is the story of a movie. You have a guy whose wife passes away, and nobody in the town knew that he had a wife or she still lived in the house, and they just assumed that she was kidnapped and living in a cell in the basement. And Mr. Poston saved his life.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you guys do. I mean, when there's justice to be had, I think that's one thing. There's a lot of cases where you end up pleading them out. Pleading them out to that he's guilty or whatever, or she's guilty. In this case, and I'm sure, John, like you experience, there's cases where that the state has it wrong, and you got to do everything you can to make sure that justice is served. So, McCracken, if you could give us a little bit of just lay of the land up there where this happened, so we understand where Ringgold, Georgia is, and what exactly the Zenith Man was facing.
Well, Alvin Ridley was a Zenith dealer and television repairman, and he was incredible at it in the days of picture tubes. I think a lot that happened to him could be directly attributed to the onset of solid-state circuitry. About that time, as he says it, people just buy TVs and throw them away. There's no real way for your local classic picture tube TV repairman to repair them. And so that began to happen to him, but a series of other ills, including some litigation. He was very litigious, so basically he riled pretty much every local official in town.
How big is this county?
The county is just under Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And how big is it?
How many people?
There's about 60,000+ in the county. In the town, there's always hovered between 3,000 and 5,000 over this period of time.
So most everybody knows everybody. Because just so you give you a little perspective, we're in a county of about 400 and some thousand up here in a corner of Northwest Indiana near Chicago.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I just want to make sure everybody understands that Mr. Ridley's town was only about 3,000 to 5,000 people, and I'm sure given his eccentricity, people knew him.
He knew him, and he didn't help himself by some of that eccentricity. He shuttered the business in 1984. He blamed it on this kind of Rube Goldberg causal connection between a minor car accident that his father had in the company truck and his father's death with pancreatic cancer 2 years later. But in Alvin's mind, all the local officials kind of worried him to death. And so, he was very litigious. It all got dismissed. There was a counterclaim which resulted in the seizure of a 1977 Chevy van that was the absolute apex of his conspiracy theories. The van was returned in 3 weeks because they didn't properly do it. They never sought to get it again. He refuses to accept it. The van is returning to the earth in place where they returned it.
John, when you have, do you have clients where you have, let's just say like obvious, maybe mental health or just illnesses that you have to deal with? Half your clients, you think? Yeah. I mean, what kind of challenges is that?
Well, you have to kind of pull out the layers. You're trying to see documents or diagnoses. A lot of times, people don't have diagnoses. They come from just really poor backgrounds. They don't have good medical care or good mental health treatment. It's not like the parents identified some issues. It's all socioeconomic issues. People, and then they just start doing drugs at a young age to try to self-medicate and self-regulate. So a lot of times you have untreated humans who get arrested at 23 with a terrible addiction, and you got to figure out what to do with them. I really want to ask McCracken, at what point when this guy got charged with killing his wife, did you begin, or what made you start to think that he didn't do it?
Well, first place, he and I began to meet at the same intersection of street and sidewalk every day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday after his wife's Saturday death. He was launching from the same phone stand that he called 911 from. And so I realized, day 2, I think this guy is trying to meet me. Because day 3, I kind of hesitated a little bit, and so did he. And then when I resumed walking, so did he. And so I knew him already. He went to school with my oldest sister, but I was an infant when that was going on. He was my father's TV man. He repaired our Zenith TV set when I was a kid. So we all saw his deterioration in terms of his business and his basic ability to get around and get along with people. But he was always considered eccentric. Now, interesting, something that John said, I had Mr. Ridley evaluated by the state psychologist. But this was 1997 when Virginia died, 1998 when with the main part of me representing him, and early 1999 trial. The autism spectrum had just been developed as a theory, and really all they were talking about was it in children, and they were all talking about what to blame for it. In fact, we've had autism around since the whole age of man. And some of our greatest contributors to our culture and to science have been autism patients and people with Asperger's. Well, Alvin was a brilliant TV repairman in that old technology. Nobody ever complained about his work.
But that doesn't mean he couldn't be a murderer. And so what I'm wondering is, okay, so it's 97. He gets charged in 97. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and is he in jail pending trial, or is he out on bond?
No, it happened in a weird way. We have a thing that's occasionally happens called a special presentment. So he was not even in any type of custody for 8 months.
Well, that wouldn't happen up here, John.
And so there was a slow burn of an investigation. Of course, he spoke anytime any law enforcement person wanted to talk with him. He let him in his house, and he wouldn't let me in. It took me over a year to get in his house, and it took this accidental turkey plate that my parents told me to take him for Thanksgiving. That was the transactional moment that he accepted the plate, and he knew I'd been trying to get in the house for over a year, and he finally invited me in. And once inside, I found the evidence that really, really helped him, and that was his wife's loose leaf journal of 30 years.
Wow.
And how long had she not been seen by neighbors or anybody in the town?
27 years.
And so can you imagine trying to say, listen, I didn't kill my wife. She wasn't a prisoner in the basement. She just hasn't come out of the house for 27 years. Imagine trying to explain that. And McCracken was able to convince everyone that this is true through her journals. And in her journals that she was writing, she had all these sweet stories about her and her husband. This is what we watched for TV. This is what he made me for dinner. He took amazing care of her. I feel the story makes you feel real bad for this guy, for sure.
Well, they were they lived as poor people, but they had food. She documented her daily things that they were going to eat for supper, and they seemed to eat well. But she had severe epilepsy from childhood. And that was our theory from the get-go when he said she had a spell, and he called it epileptic, is the way he pronounced it. And so I began immediately to look for epilepsy deaths. The problem was we have good medication these days, and people can live long lives. Just like I have type 1 diabetes and I use an insulin pump. So I can hopefully expect for a normal lifespan because of medication, and so could she. But God told her in September of 1977, stop taking your medicine, I'm going to take care of you from now. I could understand that because with Virginia's history, she often had a reaction to the medication. And so she just was done with it. And beautifully, because Alvin is a pack rat, I could show empty medicine bottles until when Virginia wrote that. And then he had several months of full medicine bottles. So because he never threw anything away, I had a lot of evidence once I got inside that house.
What was he, I don't want to give the book away because we want to make sure we pump your book up and you sell a bunch of these. Was he ever charged? Was there a trial?
Absolutely. He was charged in late June of 1998, 8 months after the trial, by special presentment, so we didn't see the indictment coming. I had actually stopped meeting with him because I said, look, it seems like this thing's going to go away. Looks like they figured it out. And next thing you know, I had bought a new Ford Explorer, and it had those Firestone tires that the treads were separating, those Bridgestone Firestone
remember those,
prices.
sure.
Had a blowout, was taking it to a tire place in Ringgold, and the guy was so excited as a wrecker was taking an old truck away. He said, Alvin Ridley was just arrested here for keeping his wife locked up all those years and murdering her.
Whoa.
And I looked at my new bride of just a few weeks and said, I've got to go somewhere.
And I mean, you got, John, that happens as well, right? Where you've got clients that haven't been charged yet, and all of a sudden the bomb drops.
Sometimes it really takes years. I wanted to ask you like a couple questions and like just parts of the trial. You don't care about talking about certain parts of the book, do you?
Absolutely not.
So I'm trying to figure out from a criminal defense perspective how you ended up admitting Flo Jo's autopsy in your trial. Florence Griffith Joyner, she was epileptic. She died of epilepsy. And so, like, I'm thinking in my head, well, how did McCracken get Flo Jo's autopsy admitted into his trial? Like, it seems implausible, but it has to have to deal with, like, cross-examining the pathologist and the medical examiner saying, oh, yeah, well, she didn't die from epilepsy.
Look at FloJo.
FloJo's doctor. She had probably like the world's greatest doctors. Like, I really want to hear this part of the story.
All right, let's hear it. This is good.
John, you put it in a nutshell better than I've been able to. We had possibly the most famous athlete in the world at that time, and the greatest athlete in the world at that time. And there were always the naysayers who wanted to dog her with the allegations of the doping and the things that made her, they thought, so great. So she got the best autopsy possibly ever done for a suspicious death. And that autopsy showed petechial hemorrhaging around the eyes, the mouth, the armpits, all the soft tissue. The exact same that Virginia Ridley had.
Wow.
Perhaps the least known woman in the world. It was very tragic. And I hated it because I was a fan of FloJo. I tried to see her at the Atlanta Olympics, but she wasn't running. And I later learned that it was because of the seizure disorder. that nobody else really knew about. But I saw her. I actually saw her from a distance at the Atlanta Games in '96.
John.
So I was very intent on getting that in. But John raises a good point. How did you get that in?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I sent it to the state, and I sent it to my epilepsy expert, Braxton Bryant Wanamaker in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I just kept pushing it at trial. And finally, the DA even brought it up, trying to draw contrasts with his pathologist.
Well, once he opens the door.
So it was definitely relevant, and both experts on both sides argued from it. The state's position was, well, the type of petechial hemorrhages, that couldn't have all come from a seizure. Well, there's Florence Griffith Joyner, who obviously died from a seizure, and she has the same markings.
Well, McCracken, I want to, we're John's got to get to court. Do you want one more question? All right. This is exciting because John usually is out of here at 8 o'clock, so this is good.
So you did an amazing job on defending that guy. Everybody needs to read this book because his defense was just fascinating, and just even the story generally is fascinating. But you were able to save this man. But I feel like you're the perfect guest for LockPod because you've defended some people in your career, and these stories just ring to our audience. He defended a guy. Listen to the story. This is so Lake County, Northwest Indiana. He defended a guy who changed his middle name from Anthony to Low-Tax.
So sounds like somebody that would be on the ballot up here.
Yeah, so he changed it because he was running for tax collector, and he changed his middle name to Low-Tax. And then during the election, Low-Tax gets charged with killing his incumbent opponent. And McCracken defended the guy.
Wow, now that's a book.
So then you need to write. Can you write that book? Because I love that story.
I suggested that he, get rid of that ridiculous middle name Low-Tax, which did work in that area of Tennessee. And so I thought, well, why don't you change it to Not Guilty?
That's great. McCracken, I just want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
This book, Zenith Man, is hot off the presses as of February 20th. And McCracken Poston Jr. is the author. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon and at other great places online.
Yeah,
so
I
check
put
out
the,
Zenith Man. John has put the link in our feed, and
People
we're
have
good
already
to go.
said they bought it.
People have already said they bought it right up here in Northwest Indiana. So McCracken, thank you so much for coming on. You've been a great guest on LockPod.
Thank you. This is a wonderful story and a cautionary tale. I think families with autistic members will recognize it in my client years before I could recognize it.
That's great. Well, good luck with the book. Thanks for coming on. Maybe we'll have you on again. Thanks, McCracken.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
It sounds like a Netflix documentary.
I agree. It's
You know
coming.
what I mean? It's
coming.
Because
This guy's
there's the
gonna-
makings of it. There's very interesting stuff in that case.
Next time, McCracken will be like, I'm a little too big for you now.
Oh, yeah. No
I
more,
can't
no
come
more
on
LockPod.
LockPod.
Not once he's on Netflix.
It's over. We're going to do some ads and come back with our favorite person that, as the locomotive refers to, used to be a doctor. Dr. Michael Foreit will be right back after this break.
Good morning.
MCR Partners. Are you seeking expertise in economic development, finance, and planning? Look no further than MCR Partners, your go-to professionals for comprehensive solutions. Their dedicated team is ready to assess your opportunities and ensure the successful completion of your projects. Discover the difference MCR Partners can make in navigating the intricacies of economic development. Stay informed and connected by visiting our website at mcrpartnersllc.com. For personalized assistance, reach out to Matt Reardon at 219-741-9511.
Byway Brewing, a family-friendly microbrewery, welcomes you to their spacious tap room and outdoor patio. Enjoy award-winning craft beer, a chef-driven menu, and craft draft cocktails. Their unique brewing equipment and production facility provide a perfect backdrop for private events, whether it's a bridal shower, reunion, or corporate party. With their new food truck, they can cater to your corporate and private events off-site. Customer service is our top priority at Byway Brewing, just off 8094 at the Kennedy Avenue South exit. Discover more at bywaybrewing.beer.
Kuklakis Law. Are you currently navigating complex legal challenges, unsure of where to turn for guidance? Your search ends here with Kuklakis Law, your trusted partner for legal solutions in Indiana and Illinois. Whether you're seeking expert representation for real estate transactions, need assistance in forming your business, or have experienced a personal injury at work or in a car crash, Kuklakis Law is here for you. No matter the nature of your legal issue, their team is ready to help. Call them today at 219-671-6347 to schedule your free consultation. Hablamos Español.
Rogers Roofing. When you demand nothing but the best for your
Listen
home
to
and
that
family,
voice.
trust the industry leader, Rogers Roofing. For over 54 years, they've been transforming homes in Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland. Their commitment to quality shines through the roofing, siding, gutters, windows, all backed by the most comprehensive warranties in the business. Visit their website, rogersroofing.com, or call 219-933-9145 to schedule your free consultation. That's rogersroofing.com. 219-933-9145. At Rogers Roofing, we expect nothing less than excellence every single time.
Well, thank you. That was very good. So good to hear your voice coming from the Powering Indiana Lake County studios.
I love it here. It's a beautiful spot.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We
It's
haven't
nice.
seen you in way too long.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I feel pretty good now that I'm coming out.
Oh, you've come out officially.
How?
Now, go
Well,
ahead,
I've been
please.
I've been in public.
Phil?
It's a-
Breaking news.
Yeah. No.
Dr. Foreit is coming out.
I've just missed a bunch, and so
Yeah.
I'm just coming out of my shell a little bit.
Formerly Dr. Michael Foreit is coming out on Lockpot.
We're proud of you.
I'm excited.
We
Thank
always
you very
knew
much.
it.
Thank
right?
you very much.
His style's just too good.
Well, we when you were in Dubai, we were trying to get you on via Skype, which would have been awesome because your Vietnam, your Hanoi
I saw that.
visit
I was a little
or maybe you're in
disappointed.
Skype. It was so good.
Yeah, thank you. It was my ear. I wish I had known how to. I couldn't figure out how to not lose you guys.
It was
and
only
keep
going to
it
be
going.
upped by your visit from Dubai.
Oh, that was terrible. And I got myself better earbuds since then and all kinds of
So you would have
things.
been all set.
I would have been all set.
Tell
I would
us,
have been,
we've
I
got
would
a-
have been happy to show you.
We've got a photo of you from Dubai.
This is Dallas.
Well,
I
we're
was-
gonna get
hold
Dubai
on,
up
yeah.
first. Hold on, I messed John up. All right,
That's
here we
Dubai.
go. Now the heading of this, by the way, it's a very cool picture.
Thank you.
The
My
pants
nose
look
was in
great.
heaven.
My nose was in heaven.
Yes.
You penned that.
Yes, I did.
Tell us about this.
That was
photo.
just the walking past this guy's joint.
Describe
the
it,
pure
what we're
inhalation
seeing.
of the fragrances that you probably know, but not to the power, the instant. Here's what it looks like, and you'll put it in your schnoz, and you go, whoa, you get blown away. But the friend who took the shot said, don't taste anything, don't drink anything. He goes, these
Just
are
smell.
fully exposed all day, and people touch them with their hands, and their hands aren't clean, and So he said, don't eat it. But I did. I took a whiff of a lot of this stuff, and a lot of it's really beautiful, man.
What a great picture.
It's the colors are amazing.
colors
and there's
are unbelievable.
There's chunks. There's that blue is indigo. You see that blue that's there?
Yeah.
That's indigo. Those
Wow.
are just chunks of indigo. They're beautiful. Take it home, tie-dye a shirt, Ken.
The color of the king.
Should have done that. Don't put that in your luggage. Though.
It was great, and some of this stuff instantly opened my sinuses. Instantly turned on some desire to eat, and I should have brought bags of this stuff home. They had teas, they had stuff for erectile dysfunction, John. They had everything.
when he said
John Vesma or John Cantrell?
No,
Is that the
please.
sickness you have?
John's gone.
I don't know. That's what he's coming out with today.
What's that?
Erectile dysfunction.
I
No,
do not
not
struggle
talking
with
about
that
it
for
today.
the record.
Yeah.
Fez just wanted to
Breaking
make sure.
news.
Well, that's a great photo.
But that was Dubai, and Dubai was
That's you, Phil.
that was shiny and beautiful and everything.
How long were you there?
I was there for just under a week.
Give us like a little fact about Dubai that many of us may not know about.
It's a mirage.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the takeaway.
It's a mirage. It's shiny and beautiful, but imagine that all the structures you see that are just absolutely each and every one with this architectural individuality, beautiful. Vegas times 5. It's just like the area, the one where the Burj Khalifa, it's all owned by the same real estate company. But you look at some of these structures at night, and there's very few lights on them in them. I mean, the occupancy of some of these buildings make them
Interesting.
look like giant billboards for people just to say, wow.
But no one's there. Wow. So
you're,
interesting.
You're a world traveler.
Yeah.
So where does this rank as far as your trips around the world? Like, where would you put Dubai? Is it in the top 10 of your favorite places, or what are we talking?
If I didn't have to go back and do a medical show there, there's probably no reason for me to see it.
Gotcha.
You've done it.
4.
And Dubai is in OAE or
It's UAE.
United Arab Emirates.
Look, shiny, beautiful. You don't see any UAE food. You see food from all over the place. You see
So no, like,
Yemeni and
local
Lebanese.
identity.
It was a port community. And so we went and we had dinners in the old part of Dubai where you have clothes hanging from balconies, and you got 14 people occupying the same room at $1 an hour wages. You saw that kind of thing when you get outside of
because you don't hear about that.
The shiny shine. I mean, there's people that have to service that shine.
Yeah.
And that shine is without a doubt gorgeous and beautiful. And you see all these abandoned vehicles they always talk about, and everybody's got a Bugatti or whatever it is. Well, there are people that'll never have Bugattis.
Yep.
Yep, and they're all
well.
there.
Welcome back. I'm glad you made it back. Now, this other photo that you've posted recently, I know that you are big on decompression.
Yes,
and that's one of your passions.
Yes,
from a medical perspective.
Yes.
Tell us about this picture.
I was, in my career, I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to meet a lot of mavericks. This is Dr. William Martin with me. He's 81 years of age in this photo, and Dr. William Martin and his partner Gustavo Ramos did a study in the early 90s based on the effects of a machine called a VAX-D, or vertebral axial decompression. And that vertebral axial just means I'm going to pull your body in its length, just the axis of its length. And by opening the body, by pulling it in a controlled fashion, it demonstrated, because these guys inserted, William Martin right there, inserted reverse vacuum gauges as provided by Hewlett-Packard into a live human being right into their discs, and he then turned on the VAX-D machine, which was the early machine that I used while I was still in practice. And William Martin here proved that with the right situation where you just let somebody lay there and you just pull them open from both ends, they achieved.
And put vacuum tubes in them.
Isn't there a movie
episode
called
title.
Like Caterpillar or something about that?
Well, there's one
episode title, John. The conditions are perfect. You just pull someone open from both ends.
Yeah, that's it. You don't want that show, John. Stay on radio. But and he's not feeling good. But they demonstrated a negative 200 pounds of mercury pressure, where discs were drawn back to their previous state of existence.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like if you land on your dupa, you land on your bottom, and you squish that little soft scallop you got. Imagine that unsquishing it would do you some good, okay? So he, almost 30 years ago, he proved it, and his article was published in the Journal of Neurosurgery. And, it's crazy because that's 30 years ago. Here, I've been using devices for 2 decades locally. You think there's a hospital system in the whole freaking city of Chicago that uses these damn machines?
How many?
0.
Wow.
0.
So you're a firm believer in this, Michael.
Well,
even though I don't want to say regular, medicine at hospitals and clinics, you can't find this.
Can't find it. I'll give you the extreme example just happened this week. The cat I travel with, Salim Musalam, who owns the company, donated a machine. He's Palestinian. He donated a machine to Jordan, and he gave it to the University of Jordan Hospital. The orthopedic spinal surgeons said this week, if that machine does not leave, we are leaving.
What?
Wow.
So what does that tell you
it's
about?
Taking away their work.
Takes away their work.
It's a dollar and cents thing.
Johns Hopkins is on board.
They are.
Oh, Joe. Salim is an alum of Johns Hopkins. He's currently finishing his Master's of Medical Engineering. And Johns Hopkins people are on board. I sit next to a Johns Hopkins professor on the advisory board. Next to me, Mayo Clinic, head of neurosurgery from Mayo Clinic, just asked if he could be on the medical advisory board. I'm sitting at that table, and I can't believe the fact that these guys, Mayo's on board, Georgetown, Stanford,
so Michael,
University of South Florida.
What's the plan moving forward then? Like, what is are you going to be involved in this? What's your plan?
I teach. Yeah. I teach. I promote it.
Do you see it as becoming more mainstream?
Oh, it can't not be. It only has a 92+% success rate.
Only.
What surgeon is going to give you that kind of percentage guarantee? 92%. And all
you
you have
a lot
to
of
do
papers to sign when you have surgery, right, Phil? About like how you are not going to make it.
Right, or what you can anticipate as a negative result of me cutting into you, even the infection, scarring. So, maybe I didn't hit the right area. But this thing opens up everything, and it works on the neck and works on the back 92% of the time. John? It solves the problem.
I was going to say, this is what Foreit's been up to. let me show you a picture of what Phil's been up to.
Oh.
gosh.
Creamy chicken cock.
Excuse me. There's the title.
Oh boy.
Let's
Oh, jeez.
look at this photo. Michael, what do you got there?
Chicken cock, it looks like.
Phil, you want to explain that?
It's got a
Phil. What have you been up to?
92.7%
Proof.
that it works. I'm telling you. So you versus me. We'll try yours. I'll
You
try mine.
want to describe this, Phil?
We were we were at a bar last night, or restaurant. That sounds better, right? And
It actually was a bar, though.
Shocking.
we saw this bottle up there, and I've seen a lot of
Pre-showing,
bottles. I
John.
mean, we've all seen a lot of different bottles of stuff. I've never seen one called chicken cock before, so I wanted to see what it was, and it turns out it's a Kentucky straight rye whiskey.
I will say
It
this.
wasn't the
Phil
shape of
didn't,
the bottle?
Phil didn't drink it. He
No.
was having a pineapple vodka instead.
You know what? The pineapple vodka tastes a lot better than that.
Chicken cock?
I'll put money
Does
on it.
pineapple vodka taste better than chicken cock?
I'm going to say yes, and,
it-
and I didn't even try that.
Is it like
If you
tequila?
experience
Like,
all-
is there an actual
Oh, no.
chicken cock in it?
No,
Like
no,
Like
this
a
is-
worm?
No.
tequila?
Right. Yeah, they have that.
Could you imagine? I didn't ask. Phil, we didn't ask if anything was in
We
it.
did not.
They have Cobra tonics in Vietnam, too.
There-
You see
what's that?
The
New,
Cobra all spun up in there.
Whoa.
Is this that new Italian place?
It is, yeah. This
How
is
is it?
it's the old True. It's old True Barbecue, another former sponsor, and Fiore is on the other side.
And it
we
was-
didn't eat.
it
We
was
just had a drink.
It was your pre-show location
Yeah.
for a long
Oh, yeah.
time, right?
Yeah,
so you and I went back there for
Check
nostalgia.
it out, Old Time Steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was nice, good atmosphere. You're right here in Munster, so it was a good deal. So, all right, we're gonna change topics because this came up, and actually, Javez was the one who got me the first video, and then I kind of kept going with it. And many of you probably heard that Tucker Carlson on his new network, which is called the Tucker Carlson Network, go figure, decided he was going to go to Russia and interview Vladimir Putin and kind of just show how great Russia is as compared to America. It was a long interview, and we're going to go over a couple of very interesting clips of it, and also I've got some great commentary by Jon Stewart, I'm a big fan of in The Daily Show. So really interesting. I thought this was actually John sent me this clip, and we both laughed about this. So here is Tucker Carlson discovering for himself something that we think probably most of us have experienced.
All right, here we go. So I guess you put in 10 rubles here, and you get it back when you put the cart back. So it's free, but there's an incentive to return it and not just bring it to your homeless encampment.
All right.
Okay.
So anybody ever been to Aldi's? Like,
Right.
What?
And I
mean,
think it's
he
less
doesn't get
about taking it to a homeless encampment, more about not leaving it in the parking lot, right?
Of course, right.
I
But
have
he
an
had to
Aldi
he had to get
question.
that in though, didn't he? He had to run.
Along those lines.
He's experienced that.
So, you
I
know,
doubt he has.
Aldi's got the carts with the quarters, right?
Yeah.
Has anyone tried to take a cart out because they have those signs that say the carts lock up like once you make it past the parking lot?
I've never tested it. I'm not
That
man enough.
yes, that happened to me
happen?
in Tampa at a Target.
You tried to steal a cart?
No.
You went
I
to
was
a homeless encampment?
I was trying to give it to the homeless guy next to me. No, I was actually leaving the Target, and I was like, "Why?" Because we were going to the car, and I actually had pulled up the car instead of parking in the parking garage, and Ethan was pushing the cart out, and I was like, "Come on, let's go, load it up." Dad, I can't move it anymore. It
And he's
stopped. Like it
strong.
locked the wheels up.
Wow.
It's crazy. That was
Really?
the only
best
time I'd
carts,
seen it.
IKEA carts, those ones that are sort of triangulated, and those are great.
Those are
Yes.
crazy.
And there's no locks.
So Tucker decided that he wanted to kind of continue on this little journey through Russia, and he showed like some really fancy subways, saying like no subway in America is this clean.
No bums.
We've got some no bums. But here's another clip of him. This is The Daily Show, and Jon Stewart kind of describing what's going on here. This is really interesting.
So this is the 2-minute, 50-second mark.
Yeah, this is when Jon Stewart kind of talks about the interview in general, and then we're going to go back to the grocery store.
Yep.
Professor, tell me, what is step one in delivering world-class fealty to power?
Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism.
Lie about what your job is.
We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people.
Lie about what your duty is.
Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe.
Oh, shit. Kudos, Sensei. That was deep. I have much to learn. Disguise your deception and capitulation to power as noble and moral and based in freedom. Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And it just, this whole interview to me really, I just am thinking to myself, and Tom said this on the show so many times. You know, he says, I served in the Russian Navy, I served in the Navy, and Russia was our enemy.
Right.
I know Russia's our enemy, yet we have people in America that are trying to cozy up to Vladimir Putin. Michael, you've been to Poland. You've been on the front lines, and you've seen the rear flank, the back lines of what's going on over there. I mean, is there any question in your mind that Vladimir Putin is responsible for the war in Ukraine?
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, he's just grabbing.
Yeah.
Look what he did in Navalny now.
Well, and then we're going to get to that. So I want to
but this guy kisses his dupa.
Well, that's what I mean. It's unbelievable as an American. He's going over there to try to say, look how great Russia is. Look how great it is. Look how clean it is. Look at these grocery stores. And here he is once again in the grocery store. John, if you could play that.
Putin laughed at him.
I know. We're going to get to that. I can't wait.
Grocery cart escalator. This is designed, I'm figuring this out now, where the wheels don't move, they lock on the grocery cart escalator. Look, Ma, no hands.
Menards has that.
I mean, isn't that just bizarre?
Okay.
And then here he is at the checkout. And John and I talked about this before we got on the show about how bizarre this whole kind of like analogy he makes to American grocery stores is. So here's Tucker again.
This for its bread.
Oh no, I'm sorry. This is bread.
I can assess pretty well. Look at that. It's fresh too. Look at that. Oh, come on.
It's weird, isn't it?
How bizarre is that?
Like you should find fresh bread here. Like, what is he talking about?
I had no clue, John. I didn't even know Russia was known for its bread.
Exactly.
He's sniffing the plastic, man.
Exactly.
He's a petrochemical
It's so
huffer.
bizarre. John, didn't you find this to be weird?
Super bizarre. And this is coming from a guy, by the way, who...
You have his shirt.
I don't have his shirt, but I played the Putin interview right when it launched. I was curious. I wanted to hear what it was about. And I left thinking this was, number one, a lame interview. 2 freaking hours. Half an hour of it was like Putin talking about history in the 1300s and why he's rightfully, to take Ukraine land, blah, blah, blah. It was just lame. And then Tucker starts releasing what to me is essentially like some propaganda for Russia.
Agree, John.
It is just bizarre, truly bizarre.
So here he is at the checkout line saying how amazing Russian prices are, and then we're gonna. And this is another weird one. So John, if you got that one.
We didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week, and we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here, and coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway. Radicalized.
Think about that. Think about what he just said.
It'll get you upset.
That must be good bread.
I mean, that is like I don't want to use too big of a word, but it's like almost treasonous. It's like, come on.
Let me play that again. Like
let's
folks watching this, like right now, watch the way he looks at the camera and says this. Like, it is so purposeful to his audience. It's really kind of scary, to be honest. And this is coming from a guy I'm a Tucker fan.
Yeah.
But
we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here, and coming to
right here,
Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live,
right here,
it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway. Radicalized.
Radicalize you against our leaders.
January 6th. That's resounding.
It's so bizarre.
He was there,
and he's just trying to. To me, he's trying to gin up just this, like, to make Putin feel like, oh, look how great Putin is, or look how nice he is, or it's good over here in Russia. It's not bad.
This is their average grocery store.
Yeah. And
I doubt that.
I doubt it too. But this is the interesting part, and I think Jon Stewart puts it. He kind of encapsulates what I was thinking a lot better than I can say it. And this is a really good kind of summary
Let me get there real quick.
Yeah, I'm sorry, John. Yep.
Here we go.
But here's the reality. You f***ing know all this because you aren't as dumb as your face would have us believe. Perhaps if your handlers had allowed, you would have seen there is a hidden fee to your cheap groceries and orderly streets. Ask Alexei Navalny or any of his supporters.
In Vladimir Putin's Russia, political repression is everywhere. And hundreds have been arrested for daring to honor Navalny so publicly.
Right.
Drag 'em away.
Because the difference between our urinal-caked, chaotic subways and your candelabraed, beautiful subways is the literal price of freedom.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second, because this is where I kind of split off. This is where I kind of get lost here.
Yep.
So what Jon Stewart is saying is because of freedom, we have to deal with the shit people are dealing with in subways in America.
I think what he's saying is,
Explain it.
so the way I took it was our freedoms that we have over here in the U.S. Like, for example, in Russia, you're not about to fuck with the subway system. You're not going to put some graffiti up. You're not going to misstep anything. You're not going to do a thing that can get you in trouble, because if you do, it's not going to be pretty. And I think that maybe that's if you live in fear and you live in that kind of repression type system. I mean, that's what people don't. One of the things that got brought up that we didn't show was that it's $100 for groceries, but guess what? The average Russian makes $200 a week.
Right.
Right, and that was just a whole cart of bread.
You can't go out and bitch about Joe. Right. You can't go and bitch about Joe Biden. If he was the president of Russia, because you'd get arrested.
Okay, let's change the country then.
Okay.
Japan.
Okay.
I've never been there. It's on the top of my list. But from what I
love
understand,
to go. Great
it's
scheme.
Incredibly orderly. Also free
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
But their subways, there's not one person walking the wrong way. It's a very orderly country. Why can't we have better things here? Like when specifically the subways is what Jon Stewart and Tucker were talking about. We don't have to put up with this stuff here, but we are.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the cost of freedom. Like that's where Jon Stewart lost me.
Well, I don't think I think maybe the point was when he was making it about Navalny. Like the cost of a lot of this is that I hear what you're saying, John, and actually he made fun of the New York subway earlier in this, but we did just about that it hasn't been improved since 1904 and it was made with urine cakes. That's why he said that. But yeah, I mean, I hear you, right? Why don't we have a nicer subway in New York? Maybe because in Russia, you got to remember, the government decides what they're going to spend their money on, and nobody says anything, right? You don't have like this ability of back and forth and city council meetings and let's do this, let's do that. I guess it's just prioritizing spending. I don't know.
Yeah, but what he's making a point of is the price of freedom. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. He's using whatever. You could use Subway as an example or whatever, but in Russia, you don't have freedom. So it doesn't matter what Tucker is saying is so great over there. It doesn't matter in the long run. If you don't start with freedom, you got nothing. So I think that was
nothing.
his point.
You can't raise your hand and complain about a thing.
Zero. You got nothing.
Yeah, they were whacking people waiting for Navalny. When he re-arrived in the country, they were just clobbering them.
Scary.
Did you guys watch the interview, the Putin-Tucker interview?
I only watched clips. I did not sit and watch 2 hours, John.
Dude,
I heard he didn't have to. I heard that Tucker didn't have to wipe his face at the end because Putin was unsatisfied.
So John, do you have? That's interesting because here is Putin in Russian talking to a British reporter, and I guess we'll translate what he says. But here, it's just a clip.
It wasn't a hard line.
All right, he says that Carlson's dangerous. It says,
oh my God, he did just say that.
He said Carlson is a dangerous person, and then why?
И вот почему. Потому что я-то, честно говоря, думал, что он как раз и будет вести себя агрессивно и будет задавать эти так называемые острые вопросы.
He says because I thought he would have asked really tough questions, but he didn't.
Я не просто был к этому готов, я этого хотел.
He was prepared
Потому
for
что
it. I
это
wanted to
давало бы
answer
мне
him.
возможность также остро отвечать, что, на мой взгляд,
Give me a chance to respond.
придало бы определенную специфику всей нашей беседе. Но он избрал другую тактику. Откровенно говоря, полного удовольствия от этого интервью я не получил.
I didn't get complete pleasure from this interview.
Yeah, Tucker.
So, I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, he basically rips Tucker for not asking tough questions.
I actually can't watched the whole 2 hours. I cannot think of one question that Tucker even asked him.
Wow.
That's how
wow.
unforgettable it was. This guy flies over to Russia to interview Putin.
Unforgettable.
First in 2 years.
And it's just totally forgettable.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, but okay, Putin's saying I wanted tougher questions, but then this is the same guy that murders people if you say the wrong thing.
That's right.
I mean,
yeah, I'm with you, Phil.
I don't
right?
trust anything with him. I wouldn't,
Yeah, all of a sudden he asks a tough question. Tucker, we're going to keep you here for a little bit.
Yeah. I'd be over there saying, so what's your favorite TV show, Putin? Because I think you would say some good thoughts for the rest of us to pick up on.
One of the stories we've been pushing over the last several weeks, and as the mayor's loving this story, by the way, just I think being a mayor, he understands kind of, what your job is and what you're supposed to do for your constituents. And Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, is a little challenged in that regard, I think. And recently, or I shouldn't even say recently, she decided to have a council meeting that I don't even know how to describe this.
It's
John.
hard, right?
By the way,
It's
we
hard.
have something huge coming up with.
Yeah,
with this.
Steve,
can we tease this
I
a
think we
little
should
bit?
tease it a little bit. Steve, our business manager, has been in contact with some some former officials of Dalton, and we're hoping to have them on soon.
Exclusive.
Very exclusive.
If they don't sit down with someone else first, this will be exclusive.
It's going to be big, so
be awesome.
stay tuned for that. Yeah. But Tiffany Henyard decided to come into the city council meeting dressed as the character Nino Brown, the drug kingpin from the movie New Jack City. I mean, does that sound like something Tom?
Sounds normal to me.
Tom does
Kevin.
that.
For sure.
Yeah. She arrived wearing black leather and carrying a stuffed toy dog. Henyard then directed her DJ to play a snippet of the song
Stop.
Bitch Better Have My Money.
Wait, you said DJ?
Yes.
She brought a DJ.
Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna.
That's a great song.
Pay me what you owe me, don't act like you forgot. So that was the line. And in the meeting, she was demanding the council provide tens of thousands of dollars for an ice skating rink. And she also shouted, every single resident, pay me what you owe me. And as one of her political opponents started to speak, she directed her DJ to drown him out.
Dude, that's... Talk about Putin.
What's the bet, Kevin, that Dalton is going to pay not only for the DJ, but for the clothes and stuff she bought
maybe
for that episode?
They're already $5 million in debt.
Well, they're $5
million and 10,000.
Exactly.
Here's a picture of her as Nino Brown. I'm sure John put that up.
Oh, my
God,
I
will.
I did not.
But
Is it in here?
I think it's in the note, but that's okay. We're going to play this. This is actually from that meeting.
Fox News.
Is
Fox
the best
32.
part at the beginning? Because this is
it's like the first 35 seconds.
Okay, cool. Here we go.
This mayor really showed up to a board meeting like Nino Brown demanding money from the citizens.
Employees and equipment. Fox 32's Dane Placco investigates where all that money is going.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing.
Tiffany Henyard certainly isn't shy about attracting attention. Here she is starting a Dalton Village board meeting dressed like the Wesley Snipes kid.
Dude, unbelievable.
So there
in the
she
movie
is.
New Jack City. Later punctuating her political points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me.
What? What?
Let's do that again,
great.
John.
Yes.
Do that again.
That is great.
Her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me.
Wow, she's not boring.
I can't.
We need a Phil.
Get busy.
Yes. Oh,
We
I see
need a
where you're going
DJ.
with this. I thought we were talking negatively about this, but what you're saying is, in Hammond, we should start instituting this type of production.
Yeah, DJ at Mayor's Night Out.
Okay.
Somebody gets up, criticizes the mayor. We just start flooding them with music. Can't hear them. Thank
everyone
you.
needs a walkout song, too, on the
Yeah.
council.
I love that. That is great.
A little walkout song.
Yeah, mic drop mic.
Unbelievable.
All right, who would Mayor Tom dress up as, though? Who would we have him?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, who would...
Well, what's
I
he
mean,
arguing
He's
about?
trapped.
He does do Super Mayor.
He does a leprechaun thing for
Yes.
for the
St.
Irish-
Patrick's Day?
Yeah, St. Patty's Day.
Okay.
I think Tom's doing
With
just
the
fine
shorts.
without all this.
I'm with you.
I don't think
He
he
could
suit-
wear
suit
anything.
and tie.
Tom can put
Guys.
anything in.
You know what? We're missing an opportunity here, but that's... you know what?
Chief of Staff's recommendation, We need costumes and a DJ, Mayor.
More of this in Hammond City Hall.
One more time, John. Can we just do one more time of this?
Absolutely.
Can we make it the name of the episode? Pay me what you owe me.
Yes, good one.
Yes.
I like it.
Points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me.
That's the mayor.
She's telling the residents. How does she get any percentage of vote for the next election?
Oh, man.
She's got to be it.
I cannot wait for our exclusive.
She's kind of incredible.
This sounds like a case for McCracken.
Yeah, McCracken Poston Jr. is on the case.
And the
You need a
DJ,
boss.
the DJ will vote for her because he just made like $10,000
for just showing up
by
for
bringing equipment to the.
I wonder
So
if she
it's
had the
good
rights
stuff.
to use Rihanna's song.
That's another. Well, good question.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to thank Michael for you coming, Dr. Foreit, for coming on.
I could talk longer.
I know you could.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You need your own podcast.
You're always welcome.
I'm going to come over. This is beautiful here.
Jill,
I like
thank you for the
Jill, thank you.
$1 million bars.
John, thank you for
John, thank you for
investing
thank you for
us
just
all.
waking up this morning. Really.
Yeah, I want to get out of here, so let's wrap it up.
All right.
If we're not back on Tuesday, it's because we're all sick.
Yeah,
exactly. If it'll be just Tom sitting at a desk.
by himself. Figure hitting the buttons.
Everybody have a great weekend. The Locomotive will be back on Tuesday. We've got more to talk about. Thanks for coming to and
It's
listening
nice to see you
and
guys.
viewing the Midwest's most dangerous podcast, Lockpod, coming right here from NECA IBW, Power in Indiana, Lake County Studios. Dr.
Thank you.
Foreit.
Thank you so much.
We are out, Lockpod.
Yeah. Bye.
Points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident.